My name is Blair Thielemeyer. I am the founder of Pharmapreneur Academy and host of the Elevate Pharmacy Virtual Summit. So I am so excited to be doing this live, and we're going to talk about the truth about MTM consulting, and it's going to be a very interactive Ask Me Anything type of session. So if you guys watching, if you'll tell me in the comments if you can hear me, that would be great. I'm just going to post on there. People were having trouble hearing me with my last one. And you know what I really want to hear from you is your questions about consulting. You know, I see you guys out there in the group asking about your consulting options, asking about cash-based services, functional medicine, working in a physician's group. I mean, all are really, really exciting opportunities that pharmacists have right now. So, you know, if you're coming in, I would love to hear where you're coming in from and how long have you been a pharmacist. Okay, Megan said the audio is working. Perfect. So much better when you guys can hear me instead of just trying to read my lips. So, you know, I'd love to hear where you're calling in from and how long have you been a pharmacist. So I am in Northeast Arkansas. I've been a pharmacist for about 7 years. I do a combination of doing MTM consulting in local community pharmacies, but I also have a cash-based consulting model where I'm offering nutrigenomic testing and pharmacogenomic testing, and essentially just recommending supplements and recommending, you know, if patients need to be on a gluten-free diet or they're taking a statin, they need to be on CoQ10, like kind of those drug-induced nutrient depletions that for some reason fall through the cracks and they never get relayed to the patient. So that's just some of the things that I do personally. But I wanted to share, you know, I just saw in the latest issue of Pharmacy Today, it was talking about different health system and internist clinics where pharmacists were working. And it talks about kind of the different initiatives like opiate stewardship and antibiotic stewardship and adherence and kind of like the value-based care initiatives. And there was a quote from John Kennedy, the chief medical officer of the American Medical Group Association. And he said, I think pharmacists will play an increasing role in outpatient quality care improvement, building upon the traditional role of inpatient medication dispensing. The initial reluctance of physicians to partner with pharmacists is diminishing as they prove their value in areas of medication reconciliation, patient safety, clinical outcomes, and cost control. So I was like, I love seeing stuff like that. I love seeing physicians advocating for pharmacists working with them. So, you know, today in this session, like I said, it's going to be very interactive. I'm going to talk about some of the common challenges that come up for the pharmacists that I work with when starting their consulting businesses. But I also want to hear your questions. This is an Ask Me Anything Facebook Live session. So if you have any questions that you're thinking about, I would love to take those questions at the end. So first, we're going to talk about why you deserve to charge for your services and an introduction to the value-based pricing model that I'm a big proponent of. Number two, picking the right services. And I'm going to, if you guys will remind me, I'm going to put a really cool resource that I created into the comment section at the end of the live so you guys can get access to the Pharmacist Quick Reference Guide to Billable Services. So somebody be sure to remind me because I get excited talking about this stuff and don't let me forget. Hi, Corinne. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Mon. I also want to kind of give you the information to find the resources that you need to move forward with your consulting business. So what I'm here for today is to inspire you, to encourage you that you can do it, to really talk about dreaming big. And my ultimate goal is to help advance the profession of pharmacy. And I think we can all do that by individually advancing our own careers. So everybody wins in that situation. It's like the rising tide lifts all ships. So I have a vision of a clinical pharmacist in every physician's clinic, every ambulatory care outpatient clinic in the United States. And that would alleviate all of our job market saturation woes and, too many students graduating and not enough jobs and, decreasing salaries and all that stuff, if we could essentially double the entire job market by putting clinical pharmacists in physicians' clinics. So, I really compare this to the explosion of APNs and PAs. So, how long ago, type in the chat and tell me, how long ago was it that you first heard or saw an APN or a physician's assistant in a clinic? I mean, it's really fairly new, within the last 10 years. So when I was in high school, I was probably a junior, senior in high school. So this was like 2004, 2005. And I was typing my mom's research papers for her master's of science in nursing that she was going to get to be an APN. And I never even heard of an APN before. And I was typing up her research papers because she couldn't type at all. She would just write them out by hand and then I would type them for her. So, at the time I was like, only doctors work in doctors' offices. Like, what, I didn't understand what she was going to do in a physician's office. And now it seems so silly that it's like the APN is there helping the doctor, they're helping diagnose and treat and prescribe. But what I see as an opportunity for pharmacists is integrating themselves to not only optimize medication therapy, but also to really optimize preventative care services. So that's something I think we don't do very well in the US healthcare system, is talking about preventative services, like before you get to, needing all these medications and, these advanced disease states. Thank you. So, what I want to encourage is every single one of you watching has a degree and has the skills to be a health coach. And that means that you should be charging for your services. So, I would love for you guys to put in the chat and guess what the average annual salary for a health coach is. Because I looked it up on payscale.com. And before I reveal the actual number, let me tell you a little bit about their job requirements. So it says health coaches may have a wide variety of job requirements and responsibilities. Generally, they work with individuals to help them improve their health and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Their tasks may be to contact patients enrolled in health programs and provide necessary wellness coaching, so preventative services. Develop customized plans for program participants, including goals and plans of action, e-care plans, we can do that too. Encourage the adoption of good habits that are conducive to a higher quality of life, motivational interviewing. Interact with clients at regular intervals by phone, email, in person, CCM, and obviously we see in retail, we see people all the time. And then assisting the physician during consults with potential new clients. And what that would look like for a clinical pharmacist would be helping them do med recs. Maybe you're doing annual wellness visits, or you're doing chronic care management visits. You're doing CMRs for them. There's so many opportunities for pharmacists to do this stuff. So when looking at like what to charge for your services, think about the value that you're providing someone. So it's not necessarily an hourly rate, but think about the long-term value that you're providing for someone. So have you ever recommended that the parent of an ADHD, a child diagnosed with ADHD, should try a gluten-free or try a sugar-free diet? I mean, I have, and it's done wonders for them. Have you ever recognized a major discrepancy in a patient's medication regimen? So I like to tell the story. I was doing a CMR with this patient one time, and he said that his nurse had recently called him and told him to stop taking his blood thinner. So he didn't know which one his blood thinner was. So he said, "Is that my Renexa or is that my Brilinta?" And apparently the nurse didn't know, and she said Renexa. And so he stopped taking his Renexa, and I'm doing the CMR consult with him, and I'm like, okay, this does not make sense. So I was able to catch that and go back to that nurse in that physician's office and be like, this is what happened. Is that what you intended? And obviously it was not. He was supposed to stop taking the Brilinta and do the Ranexa. So, just think about, like, whenever you're feeling like, what should I charge for my services? Think about, have you ever made a suggestion to a friend or a patient that changed their life or saved them money or improved their care or provided them with the tools that could help them change their health really long term? To talk to them realistically about diet and exercise, and to share articles on health goals and new guidelines for whatever they're dealing with as far as health issues. So basically, according to payscale.com, you should be charging at least $47,000 a year for these health coaching services. And I know, that's not something that we're currently charging for, but I know that we're providing these services as pharmacists. And, what I talked about at the most recent NCPA meeting was this idea of the appointment-based model, and specifically doing cash-based consulting services. So Kathy Campbell, she's doing weight management, and she uses measurable outcomes such as weight and body composition to help patients get to their goal weights and help them see that they're making progress. Suzanne Keys, she does like lab interpretations and also drug-induced nutrient depletion tests. I personally do genomic testing and supplement recommendations. Beverly Schaefer, she does a cash-based travel consult and recommendation service, and then she's also providing the immunizations on top of that. So, what we really talked about at NCPA was, it's a standard in most professions to charge for your expertise and charge for your advice. And, sometimes I think that being the most accessible healthcare provider is kind of a double-edged sword. We are very approachable, we are very accessible, but sometimes, we need to take that sword and draw a line in the sand and kind of say, okay, well, I could talk to you more about this. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that, about shifting your mindset and shifting your limiting beliefs, and talking about how to convert that person to think about pharmacy kind of in a new way. And just as an example, like, here's how I kind of separate the free counseling advice from the paid. So patient comes up and says, hey Blair, do you need, or a friend or whoever, hey Blair, do you think that I need to take this supplement? And I say, oh, well, that supplement's a good one, but based on your genes and based on your medications that you're on, there may be other deficiencies that are more concerning. We offer genetic tests for supplement recommendations and medication therapy management programs, so you can stop guessing at which supplements you need and ensure your body is getting the right vitamins and minerals at the right doses. Would you like to set up an appointment for next week? And that's kind of like how I would transition a kind of free consult talking about, hey, what supplement should I take, to, okay, come in and let's schedule a consultation. So it gives the patients, one, a new way to think about a trip to the pharmacy. It also, scheduling that consult allows the pharmacy to allocate staff, or if you're an individual person working in like a home office like mine, or actually it's not a home office, but it's a office off-site, that I schedule people certain days of the week. So I'll only see patients in here on like Sundays or Wednesdays. And so it really allows me to be very flexible in my schedule, but also have, a very good idea of what I'm going to be doing each day and control over it, really. So I'm a big proponent of defining your niche. And for my pharmacogenomic and nutrigenomic tests, I've really focused on the ADHD population, especially children and adolescents that are on ADHD and antidepressant medications. So I'm focusing on sharing information with the moms or with the parents about, how ADHD can affect the brain, how there's inflammation in the brain, how the genes like COMT and GAD1 can affect how that child reacts to stimulant medications and also antidepressant medications, because a lot of times we'll see the stimulants will kind of cause some anxiety and then they'll get put on, an antidepressant. So moms are coming to me saying, this isn't a good option. My kid can't eat. They're, feeling spacey, whatever. So I have, kind of both sides of it, the MTM and the cash-based consults set up. But what I encourage you to do is really define your niche, and whether that's cash services directly to your patients or doing MTM in a physician's office, thinking about how you're going to provide value. And I talk a lot in the academy, especially in lesson 10, about MACRA and the new value-based care initiatives and how pharmacists can have an impact on those, whether it's in like a MIPS clinic or in an ACO. Pharmacists can have a big impact on those quality measures. So, I've been doing both, but it wasn't until I really started charging top dollar for my services that people really started taking them seriously and seeing the value and actually referring a lot of other people to me. So that first point was kind of why you deserve to charge for your services. But now I kind of want to shift into what services are right for you to offer, and based on the target market that you are kind of thinking about helping, what are some services that you can offer as a pharmacist. So I had been working as a clinical hospital pharmacist for a few years, probably about 3 years, and my husband and I decided to have a baby. So in 2014, I was about 6 months pregnant when I got the news that my position was essentially being cut from full-time to PRN, and I was losing all of my benefits. So pretty much the worst possible time to lose your job at 6 months pregnant, because no one's really looking to hire someone that far along in their pregnancy and knowing they're going to be out on maternity leave for, another 3 months. So what I did instead of going out and looking for another full-time job is I started picking up some shifts at local independent community pharmacies. And, after one of those community pharmacies, they knew about my clinical hospital background. They asked me to take over their MTM cases. And I'd never done MTM before, so I said no. So even though I had a clinical hospital background, I didn't know how to do MTM. I didn't know how to bill Medicare. I was afraid that I would do something really wrong and they would audit me and take away my license or something crazy. So I said no, but then I had this mentor help walk me through my first few cases. And when she did that, I felt so much more comfortable with it. So I went back and I said yes, that I'll help them with their MTM program. So shortly after that, I absolutely fell in love with MTM. I thought it was the best thing ever. I'm ready to build my MTM consulting business. I want to make this my full-time career. And, I knew in my heart that that's what I wanted to be doing. So what I did was I started doing what I'm best at, which is research. And I started learning about all these different opportunities for pharmacy consultants. And I started writing about them on my blog. And then I was sharing them on LinkedIn and sharing them on Facebook. And then other pharmacists started coming to me and saying, I want to do that. I want to do that too. I'd love to just focus on MTM and, not be doing the dispensing part all the time, or I want to go work in a physician's office, or I want to offer cash-based consults like nutrition and health coaching kind of thing. So, I learned about chronic care management, annual wellness visits, and incident to billing and pharmacogenomic testing, all this stuff. And I looked everywhere for it. And I spent years kind of putting all of this stuff together. And what I'm going to show you guys and provide a link for at the end is this Pharmacist Quick Reference Guide to Billable Services. And somebody remind me to put this into the comments towards the end of the thing so you guys can download this. But essentially it breaks it into provider build and pharmacist build opportunities. And we kind of talk about these incident to the cash-based advanced services. And I mean, there's a lot of opportunities on here for you guys. So I'm really excited about that. But as I was uncovering all these opportunities, I was like, why aren't more pharmacists offering these services? Like, is it because I don't know about them? I mean, I didn't know about them before I started learning about them, so it makes sense. You know, was it because no one had put them all in one place before and the people couldn't find them? So, you know, that's what I really saw as a huge barrier for more pharmacists to go out and start doing this. I mean, it's pretty commonplace for maybe a faculty position to be shared in a clinic type setting, but for an independent person to go out and, you know, market themselves to a physician's clinic and get hired as an independent consultant, I mean, that's kind of a totally new area for pharmacists. So I was really excited about that. And what I've done with a lot of that information is curate it and put it all in one place in the Pharmapreneur Academy now. So as I was working with some of these pharmacists, we were working like one-on-one coaching clients back in 2015, I really very quickly saw a common theme emerge, and it was that they didn't feel like they were expert enough. And this is something I struggle with a lot. And the most common limiting belief that I see for pharmacists is that you have to be or do something or have some kind of certification, something special to be able to begin your business. And, you know, I'm just here to say that is not true. So just a few examples of some of those like limiting beliefs that I imposed on myself. I don't know how to do MTM. I'm afraid of billing Medicare. I need to get an MTM certification. I don't know how to run a business. I don't know how to pay taxes. I don't know what to charge. You know, before I hired my business coach, I was thinking, should I get an MBA or should I get a board certification or should I get a master's in MTM? And then after I hired my business coach, she was like, absolutely not. Like, no, 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 you cannot spend money doing this. And she really promoted minimum viable product to me, which is now what I share with my consulting clients. And what she talked about, she wouldn't even let me buy a new computer. Like, I wanted to buy a new MacBook computer, but she was like, no, you have to prove the concept first and generate some revenue before you can spend any money on this stuff. So really, I think what it was me and my mind coming up with ways to keep me from being uncomfortable. Like, our brains want us to stay in the status quo. They don't want us to change. So that, you know, getting all my ducks in a row, I need to have everything figured out before I can move forward. That's just my way of procrastinating, saying like, I need to know everything before I can get started. And I'm just here to say that is not ever going to happen. Like, I still don't feel like I know everything. Some other common limiting beliefs that I hear as well: nobody's going to pay for that service, which, you know, proven that people are willing to pay for cash-based services if they see the value in them. Doctors may get mad at me. I slipped through my cytochrome P450 enzyme lecture, so I don't know anything about pharmacogenomic testing, that kind of stuff. So I'd love if you guys want to share in the chat. I would love to hear, you know, maybe what are some of those limiting beliefs that are coming up for you? And, you know, what are you telling yourself about why your idea won't work? And one kind of fun exercise that I had heard about limiting beliefs is think about whatever you're saying to yourself about nobody's going to pay for that service or whatever. Think about saying that to your best friend. And would you be that discouraging to your best friend if they came to you with an idea? So I think we need to, especially as women, we need to be much more gentle with ourselves and with our thoughts. So I'll be the first to tell you, now I have certifications in MTM and pharmacogenomics and point of care testing and all that. And none of those certifications have made any difference in my business whatsoever. And I don't feel like they've helped me really get ahead in my business. And number two, I still don't feel ready enough. I still don't feel like, you know, know everything about MTM consulting. I know everything about pharmacist billing. So, you know, it's not, I'm not saying that like advanced degrees aren't clinically valuable, because I definitely think they are, but I think we spend way too much time in that knowledge accumulation zone where that it's in our comfort zone. So that's really what we want to do. So, you know, you may be thinking, I'm not an expert on pharmacogenomics or diabetes management or medical billing or whatever, but I really want to encourage you that you know enough to get started. Like, you know, at this point in time, everything you need to know about how to do your job effectively and how to counsel patients effectively. I think you know enough to charge at least $47,000 a year, because that's what health coaches are out there charging. And they don't even have, most of them don't even have like a proper certification process at this time. I mean, I think they will in the future for sure. But, you know, I want to encourage you that at this point in my career, I add skills as I need them, not in case I might need them in the future. So sometimes I think that, you know, the never-ending pursuit of more knowledge can actually be a crutch and allow us to procrastinate and to stay in our comfort zone. So they don't help you grow, which is what I'm really here to do, and that's my primary focus. So there's so many options out there that will begin presenting themselves to you when you start to take action. So a lot of times I say in business, you actually don't end up doing what you initially set out to do. But, you know, for me, it was like once I figured out how to do MTM and I started taking the first step and moving forward, like all these other doors started opening to me. And my coach, Natalie, I can't thank her enough, because she pushed me way, way outside of my comfort zone. And, you know, she was the one that had the vision for the Pharmapreneur Academy and, you know, for the Elevate Summit and kind of the stuff that I've been bringing from the business community back into the pharmacy. So, you know, the third point that I want to make today is about really getting out of your comfort zone, and whatever that means for you, to encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. For me, it was finding someone who had done it before, someone who had built a business before. And my mentor taught me how to do MTM, but my business coach really taught me how to, you know, she questioned me on my own limiting beliefs and, you know, why I was saying that I need to invest all this money, I need to learn all these things, I need to get my master's or my MBA or whatever. Because, you know, one thing I've learned in the past 3 years in business is really succeeding is about being comfortable, being very uncomfortable. So just like she kind of helped me start with the MTM coaching stuff, that's what I want to encourage you guys to start your pharmacy consulting business. So I set an intention today before I ever went live to inspire you guys to, you know, take action, to motivate you and share some of the opportunities so that you leave feeling inspired. And really, that's the work that I do. So, you know, I've helped over 200 Academy members now. So Carol, she's consulting for a pharmacogenomics company, Eureka. She is scaling her collaborative business model to help patients all across the country. Nancy has a physician partner. She's building a women's health and wellness business. Oki, she just got her first independent community pharmacy client as an MTM consultant in the first month after working. So let me go ahead and I want to post this resource for you guys to be able to download. And it's all of these different opportunities that are available. I'm going to put it in the comment section. All of these opportunities that are available for consulting, because there's so many of them. And, you know, I think sometimes, you know, we think like, I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know how to get started. I feel so overwhelmed. I want to do 5 different things. I really want to encourage you, you know, it doesn't have to be so complicated. So you can click this link, just fill out your information, and you can click download now, and then it should give you a printable version for this quick reference guide to billable services. Some of the feedback I've gotten on it so far was like, I wish I had this thing starting out. And trust me, I wish I had this thing starting out whenever I started my business too. So a lot of people have said they couldn't believe how many opportunities were on there. You know, it's really a visual representation of all the different pharmacy services. So whenever you sign up for this, you're going to get automatically added to my email list. And then you're going to start receiving emails from me about pharmacy consulting services. And I would love to invite you all to our next live webinar, which is this Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. We're going to do a live webinar about the 3 mistakes that most pharmacists make in their careers. And of course, it's based on all the mistakes that I've made in my career so far, because I like to use myself as the guinea pig. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So that is in the first email. You can also find that under btpharmacyconsulting.com/webinars. Then you can just go and register for that, and it'll be another live webinar kind of like this on Sunday evening. So this is kind of like all the information that I had down to present. So now if you guys have any comments for me, any questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat section, and I'm going to be looking at those comments and trying to answer some of your questions. So, you know, some common questions that I get, you know, that I'll talk about, please put your comments in there and I'll answer them. But some common questions I get, like how long does it take to get your consulting business started? So that's a great question. And it really depends. Like I said, Oki got her first client within about a month of joining the academy. Most people, between 3 to 6 months is about the time that it takes people to get their consulting business off the ground. And most of the people that are in the academy they have full-time positions. So they're kind of building this as an extra revenue stream. They're building this as a side income. They're seeing the kind of writing on the wall of, you know, our jobs are less and less stable with the technology and the cutting of hours and the, you know, as many schools of pharmacy, they're graduating new grads and that kind of stuff. So I think people are seeing that and, you know, saying, I need to really look at these additional revenue streams that I could create for myself. And doing a side business is an absolutely wonderful opportunity for people to do that. So Estella asked, she's a new graduate, does that put her at a disadvantage? So I think that's a great question. We do have some new grads in the academy, and for the most part, no one's ever asked me how long ago I graduated whenever I'm doing an MTM consult or doing a pharmacogenomic test. You know, that's one of those, I think, kind of a limiting belief that we place on ourselves, is that if I'm younger than the person I'm teaching, and that's definitely been an issue for me as a business coach, I'm coaching people that have owned their own pharmacies. And so I'm like, what do I have to tell them about business that they probably don't already know? But even as a new grad, I think you have advantages that maybe older grads don't, you know, knowing more about MTM services, talking more about pharmacogenomic testing. I mean, I don't ever remember talking about pharmacogenomic testing in pharmacy school. So that's been something that a skill I've had to build on my own. But, you know, what I encourage you, Estella, is to just think about the target market that you want to pinpoint and the type of consulting services that you want to offer, and then just go out and see and put it out there. You know, are people interested in it? Is there additional stuff that you absolutely need to be able to do this? Like, so, you know, HIV clinics or something like that are, you know, stuff that people ask me about. And yes, that does require some additional certifications, but for the most part, I don't feel like being a new grad puts you at a disadvantage at all. Okay, Shalini asks, how do you approach a doctor's office? How do I know what they need? Oh, I absolutely love this question because you don't know what they need until you go in and sit down and have that conversation with them. So, more often in the academy, when someone has an appointment, like we'll post in the academy forums, like, I've got an appointment next week with the doctor, wish me luck, what should I tell them? And I'm like, don't tell them anything. Go in there and be like, no, what's keeping you up at night? What are you worried about with your patients? What is killing your workflow? What are the things that you wish that someone would take off your plate? And then from there, you can create a proposal. You go in and maybe you're thinking like you want to do focus on diabetes education, but they're telling you, no, I really need help with this other quality measure. And that's why we talk a lot in lesson 10 about quality measures and the MIPS criteria and adherence and that kind of stuff. And maybe they're like, no, our adherence rates for diabetic patients are terrible. That's what we really need to focus on. And so you just tailor that. Okay, I want to do diabetic education for newly diagnosed diabetics. Maybe it's a DSMT program, and get them on an adherence program, like work with their local community pharmacy and help them like get on a med sync regimen or get on, some adherence packaging to where you can really tell, like you can make a difference in that patient's care and you can really improve their adherence scores. So that would be my advice is instead of going in with, here's what I can offer you, is just go in with a list of questions like, what are your quality measures? What are your pain points? Identify those pain points and let them do more talking than you do. Just ask them the question and then sit and listen. Some other good questions might be, are they a MIPS clinic? Are they an advanced APM clinic? Try to, get to the root of like how they're being scored as far as quality metrics go. And then you can always act as a care coordinator. Maybe it's to help with prior authorizations on specialty drugs. Maybe it's to help with refill requests and getting the patient set up on a MedSync program as like a bridge to a community pharmacy. I mean, there's so many opportunities that you can do. These programs under provider build opportunities, we talk about annual wellness visits, and you see under the add-ons, these are all preventative type services that a pharmacist can offer. We also talk about chronic care management, remote patient monitoring services, and transitional care management. Under incident to billing, talk about adherence, antibiotic stewardship, anticoagulant management, long-term care consulting, just plain MTM MedRec, opiate stewardship, and pharmacogenomic testing. Now, pharmacogenomic testing is like if they meet certain criteria, Medicare will pay for it. So that's kind of like an iffy subject because most insurances aren't really going to pay for it. So in my practice, I actually charge the patients cash for the pharmacogenomic test. But then I iterate that is a once in a lifetime test. It's not something that we're going to have to do every time you come in. So we can do the test once and then we can kind of use that in an ongoing manner. And the same thing with nutrigenomic testing. Some of my patients that are on ADHD medicines, we're trying to, give them some stuff to help them like break down the excess dopamine so that they don't have those feelings of anxiety. Maybe we're trying them on a gluten-free diet. Maybe we're trying them on, some other like magnesium glycinate at bedtime or melatonin or whatever it may be. And these tests, like once we have the patient's results, we can really use them to guide the patient's care. So there's so many opportunities. I would encourage you not to go in with one idea, like I want to do CCM with you, because that doctor may have something against CCM or they may have something against annual wellness visits. So instead of going in with like, here's the solution, go in and be like, what's your problem? So if that makes sense. So, okay, I don't see any more questions. So, I want to just reiterate the value of learning about all of your opportunities for pharmacy consulting. You can find this stuff on the internet. It's in a million different places. I will be the first one to say that you can find a lot of this stuff for free on the internet. But what I've done with this quick reference guide to billable services, and also what I've done with the Academy, is take everything that I've found, all my research from the past 3 years, and put it all in one place. So, I want to encourage you, don't leave without downloading your copy of this free resource. It's really cool. If you have any questions about it, I'm going to put my email in the comments. It's Blair Thielmeyer at btpharmacyconsulting.com. I would love to answer any additional questions you have about what we're talking about, and invite you to come on the next live webinar Sunday night. So on Sunday night, I'm going to be talking about some case studies of people in the Academy. I usually do a screen share to show you what the Academy actually looks like. You can kind of see the forums, you can see what it's like to be a member, and the questions and support and kind of stuff that people get in there. So I want to thank you guys for your attention and joining me on this live. I'm glad you guys could hear me this time. So if you have any questions,